Good evening, everyone. Today we have all gathered here for the Samvaada talk, which will be delivered by Ms. Aparna Kandi, the Deputy Registrar, Purchase Section. A warm welcome to Madam. This will be our 16th edition. Over to Madam.
Thank you all. First of all, let me wish you a good afternoon, everyone. I just hope you have woken up after a nice coffee. Well, thanks again, Geeta and Mr. Veeranna, for inviting me to talk on this day. Well, you people have almost seen over a decade. I have been in finance and I have been in purchase. More or less, you have interacted with me. Probably the new admin assistants wouldn't have interacted as much as the other older staff have interacted. So I had been in finance for a long time and I have been in purchase. That is how you all know me. But beyond that, I came to IISc in 2012. Before that, I was in Navy. I would like to talk about my experiences for the past 20 years in my professional life. So let me begin this Samvaada talk with a small narrative poem by Robert Frost. I'll just open this. Yes, no. Well, yeah. So this is a small. I thought I will just start this presentation with a narrative by Robert Frost. It says, "The road not taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth." My life, my journey has been a quixotic journey. I have taken decisions at that point of time thinking that it may not work or this is not the path to be taken. But later on, it proved that it is one of the decisions where I had to endure a lot, but still, when I stood with it with my firm beliefs and convictions, it really worked out for me. I come from a modest background. I belong to Raichur. Raichur is considered to be the most wild west of India. There's not much of growth there. There's not much of importance given to education. But fortunately, my family or my extended family, they all belong to the armed forces. My uncles, cousins, they were all part of Army, Air Force and all. So the usual dinner talks and all, it would all circulate around the ships, wars. I grew up listening to World War II stories, listening to the bravery of our Indian soldiers in Bangladesh war. So I always fascinated of joining Indian Armed Forces. And I watched movies, I relished watching movies like Day of the Jackals, The Longest Day, Pearl Harbor. These were the usual talks at my home. So there was nothing beyond that. So my world was entirely encompassed with the talks of these kind of Indian warriors. And I always fascinated these kind of stories, and I always thought that one day I should be also a part of armed forces. But during those days, there was no policy that women officers have to be inducted in armed forces. People were still conservative about inducting women in armed forces. So since all my uncles, cousins, and all all the male members in my family were part of the armed forces, so the joining of armed forces was again left to my other sibling, my younger brother. So he was given all the motivation and encouragement to join NDA. But I personally, I always felt like if I cannot join in armed forces, then probably I can try for Indian Civil Services, and I was honestly persuading to join the Indian Civil Services. So then in 1992, government took a policy of inducting women officers in Indian Navy. But then, of course, it was an experimental basis. And then meanwhile, I finished my engineering in electronics and communication. And then I joined, as luck would have had, I didn't, of course, that was a time when all of my friends went to Bangalore, which was the mecca of all the software engineers. At that point of time, yeah, that was a decision I took. I said, let me stay back and pursue the civil services. And of course, those were the days when there was no this kind of WhatsApp and all the career opportunities was only flashed in DD News and newspapers. So I happened to see in the DD News that there was openings for Indian women officers in Indian Navy. So I applied in the in the newspaper. As luck would have had it, I got the interview call because it's a luck, it's a providence. Because out of thousands of people, there are so many sacks of bags which are just, they cannot see. The people who are scrutinizing these the applications, they cannot go through all the applications. So probably there was a providence, there was somewhere written it was a destiny that I had to join the armed forces. So someone would have picked up my application, saw the eligibility criteria, and they sent me the call letter. And honestly, friends, SSB is not something which you study for your entire life and you pass through the exams. It is what you are. People are taken for what you are. The ability to motivate, to guide the people, to stand up against all odds and have conviction in yourself. These are the characters for which the SSB looks for the people. So it's not like you study some set of textbooks and set of question papers, go on rehearsing it and appear for the exams. No. So I came to Bangalore. As I told, I was in some small place in Raichur. I traveled to Bangalore. But yeah, so I appeared for the exams. In that batch, there were around 50 to 60 lady candidates. And then first day was the screening test. Screening test was something which you had to really crack it within some given time. From that 60 lady officers, I think around 8 of them were selected. So Darwin's theory of survival came here. The 8 of them had to undergo a battery of tests for the next 8 days. It was not on my first day that these 8 women officers would be selected. So the battery of tests included the group discussions, group task test, leadership behavior, and all these. It was not a kind of test where you run 100 meters and you win. No, people were watching from all angles. Even if you don't win that 100 meters, even if you don't finish that 100 meters, it did not matter. How you tackle that situation, that was more important in the exam. It was only the behavior. I always tell this, it is not the end result which is important. It is the approach to the problem that is more, it is the approach to the situation that is important. So, the first day, from 40, out of 40, I think 8 of them were selected. So the 8 of them were subjected to all kinds of tests. Group tasks, group discussions, various tests. And these things are never given in any books. And those days, you all know, it was only some books which were available. There was no these kind of, preparatory exams which come in the YouTube and all those things. So with whatever knowledge we had, we cracked up all the exams. And after 8 days, out of the 8, only the 4 were the fittest. So these 4 ladies were the chosen ones to join the most elite forces, that is Indian Navy. So as I've told here, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood. And sorry, I could not travel both. I was only traveler. I could have chosen to go for the road which was well tread. Where the road path was already given. People had gone there, succeeded, got a high package. But I chose to go to a path which even the angels fear to tread. So, probably from my place, from Raichur, from my family, I was the first lady to join the armed forces. So, I'm still not finished. So after that, with a lot of apprehensions and a lot of things, how you will do, what you will do, whether you'll be able to manage, because the training was not in Bangalore, it was in various parts of India. So I was sent to Goa, Mandavi. So there, the training is very, very rigid and very hard. The 6 months, you never realize what is day and what is night. It was like you went and then boom, you are just thrown into a rough sea. The morning started with, with a long marathon, PT, and then 1 hour of PT, very hard exercises, and then, parade, and then classes, and then again parade. So even you didn't have time to have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes you would be called in the midnight to do all these kind of security exercises and all. So in this period, my parents kept, whenever my parents visited, they kept prodding over me, whether you'll be able to complete or you want to come back, because I always had another path. The path which was well known, where you just go there at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, at the end of a month, you get a good package. So they kept asking me, but I stuck to my decision. I said, coming back, I would again become complacent. I would never realize what is my strength. So I kept on going. So these kind of hurdles, actually instead of demotivating me, I got every one small step. I thought I should push myself a little more, one more step, so that I decide my own destiny. I don't want to walk a path which others have already, laid the path and said, okay, this is good, you come this side. No, I wanted to discover myself, my own path. So from there, my journey started, a very quixotic journey. It was a training for around 1 year. We traveled all over the places, Mandavi, Cochin, Vizag. So my training completed after a year and a half. From there, I got posted to Vizag, Visakhapatnam. So that was again I was asked to do a task. We were asked to do, my role and responsibilities was something very different, to implement the drawings of ship into 3D, ships and submarines into 3D drawings in the software. So that went on for another 3 years. And then from eastern part of India, I was posted to Jamnagar. Meanwhile, I got married. So the acid test of, how the motivation is, how strong your inner strength is, all this comes to a test. It is all tested at various times. It's not like, every now and then you're asked to do the test. I got married to an Air Force officer. So my daughter was born on a day when the Parliament attack happened. So that very day he was recalled back to the duty, and then those were not the days of Google Maps or Ola and all these things. I got to know about his location only after 2 months. So that was a kind of, acid test. But then the motivation towards our country, the service, what you're doing for your country, that is foremost. So after that, I went to Jamnagar. So from this role of, this role was entirely different, a paradigm shift. I had to do, I was put in a training establishment where I had to train the cadets, teach the engineering subjects. So this role was entirely different. So, but that's what, the adaptability, that's what, when Navy inducts people, they see if these people are, they are able to do this, perform the duties under any circumstances. So teaching was another responsibility which I was given. And being from South India, I was not very fluent with Hindi. So with this mattering Hindi, teaching cadets was a kind of a joke, because I was always going grammatically wrong with them. But somehow managed to learn Hindi, which was again a new language for me. so that, I would be able to connect with the sailors. So after a stint of 3 years, then again I moved to Delhi. So it was like, Navy was giving me an opportunity to travel from west, and then again north. So this kind of adaptability was good. I got to see so many places. Delhi was another happening place. It was a nerve center of all the activities. And in Delhi, I had to change 3 houses in 3 years. Of course, we have these 3 large, huge black boxes and keys, which are always ready to move from one place to other. So like intellectual gypsies, we keep moving from one place to other. So, and then again, after 3 years, and again, I moved to Chilka. So that is that is in our own Odisha. There also I was given a higher role and responsibilities. So these things, actually what it taught me was adaptability, switching jobs, and then again getting adapted to these to the new roles. So this was something which I could do, like, so like a fish, I could swim and then, change my role every 3 years. And and being in armed forces also gives us the flexibility of, going around the places. So I got to see, like, I am a South Indian, but I got to see the rich and vibrant culture of Gujarat. We traveled all over Gujarat, and of course the north, the Delhi, the Agra, and all the places nearby. And of course our own Chilka, where, Odisha is rich with the flora and fauna and lot of exotic species. And then Konark temple, so many places. Not only these things, but of course you get a kind of exposure to visit all the places in India. So after 12 years, and since my husband was also an Air Force officer, the postings and all couldn't be managed. So I decided that I'll take a break. So from there, I took a break and joined him in the Northeast. So this was my role as an officer. But being an officer's wife, also I had additional responsibility. Since he was commanding a unit, my husband, I had to be, a kind of person who is role as a spouse who is able to take care of the level functionaries like the airmen, their families during the deployment. And I still remember a case when there was in one of the postings when there was an air crash and the entire crew in that building, they all died in the crash. So getting back the families back to the normalcy and rehabilitating them was one of the roles, was one of the responsibilities which I was thrust. So like this, the Navy gives us whatever services you give it to the Navy in turn gives us a responsibility of exploring ourselves. And these qualities, what I just told now, I never thought that I had these kind of qualities. And also they give us a satisfactory life, and the kind of training also makes us strong, face any kind of situation. So because of Navy, I am what I am, and I'm here. I'm in IISc. I've been here for 10 years, serving in all kinds of roles and in all kinds of situations, like in COVID and all, because of my strong background. Navy has been instrumental in developing my character. So with this, I end my small brief talk. Anything? Any questions?
Anybody who have any questions? Some clarification? Or somebody wants to join defense? It will be of great help to us. Youngsters.
Your story is very inspiring, that you are the first woman in your family to go to the armed forces. So immediate family, okay, they will support you because they are always love you. But have you faced any criticism among the business families members, like तुम्हारी लड़की अभी जा रही है तो कैसे होगा वगैरह? Some kind of that kind of criticism have you faced, like?
No, No, see, I told you, my uncle, my cousins, they were all part of armed forces, army. I mean, even before, like, they were the first officers to join in IMA, Indian Military Academy. So that way there was no criticism as such, but nobody thought I could, because I was so engrossed in the word of Enid Blyton and all the nice small things, but nobody took me seriously. So that's the reason probably they thought, will she be able to do it? Not that she's a woman and she'll be, not that, will she be able to do it?
Oh, that's good actually. Support from the family is more important. And you mentioned that you grew up watching movies. So you still love movies?
War movies.
Means what kind of movies do you like? Still war kind of movies?
Yeah.
Which one is your favorite?
Yeah, I think 300.
Oh,
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor. Yeah, that's good. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. No, because that was advertisement. I think that was the first one I applied and I got. It's not like.
So you never have dreamt like you are going to be a naval officer.
Yeah.
So Air Force ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ, Army ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. Why only Navy?
See, I left engineering. I mean, after my engineering, I think that was the first advertisement I saw. So I applied. There's nothing decided kind of thing.
The aircraft,
Yeah.
the accident ಆದಾಗ,
Ah.
so you said that so many people were died and you were rehabilitated. Can you elaborate on your experience? How you got the message? What was your reaction? And then what happened on the particular day? And how you discharged your duties? And,
My spouse was part of a unit, so it becomes then I think he was in charge at that point of time. So he got a message that there was a crash, and at that point of time we didn't know how many of them had died. And so later in the evening we got to know, and then in the entire building, most of the male members had passed away. So going to each house and be with them. Some people were too young, too small children. Taking care of the children. For next 1 week, I think it was very harsh on us. I don't remember.
Hello. It was a nice talk. Thanks for the information of Navy. Why did you leave Navy, and why you joined IISc?
See, Navy at that point of time, there was no policy of giving a permanent commission to lady officers, because they were still experimenting with the induction of lady officers. As I told, in one of my tenure in Vizag, there were no toilets as such. Even the ladies' toilets were not there. So we had to, and we were the first lady officers to go there. Only 2 of us were there, so they had to really construct toilets. And then in next posting, I was sent to a camp where I had to be with the cadets for 3-4 days in the jungle. Separate tents were erected for us. I mean, there are some hardships at that point of time. Of course, the policy has changed now. There are so many things where the SC has given an order that lady officers have to be taken in permanent commission. They are in every branch. But that was at that point, after somewhere in 12 years when I was in the service, and when I had completed 12 years, they were still mulling the decision of giving permanent commission to lady officers, and they had gone to the court also. So at that point, since my husband was in Air Force and he was posted in Northeast, so then there was no clarity. So the short service tenure is only for 14 years, 10 plus 2 plus 2. So after 12 years, I quit.
So how you are feeling the difference of your nature of job at Navy and IISc?
It's comparing apples and oranges, but nevertheless, it's like, in most of my postings, it used to be like, I used to wake up at 5:30 and then go home only. Sometimes I would be put on night duties, and the duty would extend till the next day. So, but I never felt like, I'm tired. I had that josh. So with kids and with the family and all, I continued. So there was nothing. It's because there was no clarity on the permanent commission. And then of course, postings and all, it's nothing, but no clarity on, continuation of lady officers. So it was a good decision that I quit so that, I can think of resettling elsewhere.
Thank you, madam.
So Navy has changed. If any ladies here wants to, join the armed forces, they can apply. Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am, I just wanted to share, it was like onion talk. 2 characters in 1 person. Because you're so sober, you're very silent, the way you spoke, your presentation was really motivating, and, we didn't know that rigorous training you also underwent after Registrar, and Mr. Mithun and all shared their views, This was really very nice to hear, and your presentation was very nice. You really made us what is next. So thanks goes to your parents, your husband. You always keep telling, he motivates you and your children and all that. Thanks for sharing this wonderful talk, and thanks for accepting the invitation. I was behind her. I said, no, next talk is yours. She said, what am I going to talk? I said, no, you can do something creative, and thanks for this good evening talk and wonderful, sharing of experiences. Thank you so much once again. We thank Veerana sir for keep on motivating us with lots of jokes. And sir, next time you please organize one dance or one debate so that we can make all the youngsters dance and we can sing. Thanks.